Support for the Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you in part by University of Idaho, Idaho's only Carnegie R1 classified research university. Our Carnegie R1 designation recognizes the discoveries we make that help our forests thrive. It means we're creating more doctors and doing real research to strengthen cybersecurity for Idaho businesses, our energy sector, and every Idahoan. More at go.uidaho.edu/Idaho-is-Idaho.
Hundreds of bills move through the Idaho legislature each session, and it can be hard to keep track of what's really at stake. The Connector follows the legislation that's gaining traction with clear reporting and local context you can trust. Stay connected to the State House with The Connector, Idaho Daily News. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Samantha Wright, filling in for Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. Okay, did you stop off today and get a cup of coffee somewhere? Did you feel guilty about it? Well, this may help. Drinking 2 or 3 cups of coffee or tea each day may help you stave off dementia, at least according to a new study. And playing brain games may help too. And since 42% of people over 55 will likely get dementia, it's a conversation worth having. And can stimulating a nerve in your body stop arthritis and maybe heal your heart attack? It's Wednesday, time for our Doctors Roundtable with Dr. David Pate, former CEO of St. Luke's Health System and the co-author of the book, Preparing for the Next Global Outbreak. Dr. Pate, good afternoon.
Hi, Samantha.
And if you have a public health question, you can always send us an email at idahomatters@boisestate.edu. Okay, so the National Institutes of Health says 42% of Americans over to age 55 can get dementia or will likely get dementia, and that more than 6 million in the U.S. already suffer from this, 55 million worldwide. So imagine my surprise when I read you might be able to cut your risk by drinking a couple of cups of coffee a day. Tell us about this new study. What's it all about?
Yeah, so this study followed 2 groups of people over a long period of time. Those that drank 2 to 3 cups of coffee or 1 to 2 cups of tea per day, and those who did not. And then what it did is followed to determine, was there any difference in their rates of cognitive decline, specifically dementia, and over time. So this provided us with some interesting findings.
It did. Okay. 18% lower risk of getting dementia for the coffee drinkers. That's a big number. Are they thinking this is due to caffeine? Because it also works in tea, according to the study.
So the way this study is performed, you cannot conclude causality. You can conclude that there is an association, clearly, and there might even be causation. We just can't say that at this point. So the question is, would there be anything about that would be different about those 2 groups other than their caffeine ingestion? Because, perhaps the people like you and me that drink coffee, we're the early birds getting the worm and getting up early and getting on with our lives. And maybe, we do things, whereas the ones that are not getting caffeine, maybe they're sleeping in later or going to bed later at night. And, there could be difference in the group, is why we cannot say that it's causation, but we can say that certainly for those coffee drinkers and tea drinkers, there is something that clearly seems to be giving them an advantage in, it doesn't prevent them from getting dementia, but it does decrease the odds. As you said, for the coffee drinkers, if they started in midlife, they had an 18% reduction in the likelihood of dementia. If they're tea drinkers, it was a 14% reduction. And so there's something about it. Certainly there's an association. I think we've got to do more studies. We've seen that coffee does have other benefits as well. And so we really need to study those coffee drinkers are less likely to have diabetes. Coffee drinkers appear to get some protection against pancreatic cancer. So there's something that we just need to do more studies about and see what's really going on here.
Well, and I'm a tea drinker, so I always look at all those tea studies too and how good, tea can be for you. So I like that 14% number. I thought the interesting thing about this study was it's really long. It went over time, something like 43 years. Does that help to give it any credence? As you said, go ahead.
Tremendously.
Oh,
tremendously, because it's very hard to do studies that long. And when you talk about dementia, there are some forms of dementia with rapid onset, but they are certainly, thank God, in the minority. We don't see them as often. And so typically dementia is a multi-year development and process. So having this long of a follow-up really increases the likelihood that this study's findings really are on to something.
So should everyone run out and just start guzzling coffee? I mean, maybe not. Maybe you should just be moderate.
Well, I don't think we can say that at this point, but I can tell you that if you are drinking coffee, if you are drinking caffeinated tea, and you're thinking to yourself, I wonder if I should stop doing so and maybe decrease my caffeine intake, I think the answer would be no. But whether the converse is true, should you, if you're not drinking caffeinated beverages, which I don't really know how you get through life, but if that is where you are, I don't think this can tell us, oh, you need to start adding it to your daily routine.
Gotcha. And if you aren't a coffee drinker, there may be another way to try to fight off dementia. And I'm looking at another study where 10 hours of brain training cut the risk of dementia or Alzheimer's by 25% for the people in the study. So tell me about this study and what are these brain exercises?
Yeah, so, in one respect, this study is not surprising because we've been gaining more and more evidence that it's important to exercise your mind like it is your body. And that if you do so, and especially doing new things to challenge your brain, that seems to be protective. So that part was not surprising. What was surprising is that what this study showed is two things. One, that it really didn't take much. I think, as you mentioned, 10 hours total of doing some cognitive speed training. Now, that's a little bit different than what a lot of people do if you're, playing Wordle or Sudoku or something like that. This is a little bit different, but it was only 10 hours total, plus some periodic, booster sessions. And it showed a 25% reduction in dementia, which is quite startling. And the second part that was surprising is how long that effect seemed to last, upwards of 20 years. So I think that, this is another positive sign that we don't need to be total victims to dementia. There are things we can do. We do know that physical exercise helps. We know that mental exercise helps. What this study did with the cognitive speed training is it focused on memory, reasoning, and speed. In other words, tests that you are timed on you and you can time out of. I
thought it was fascinating enough that I went and tried it today. We'll put a link on our website to all these studies and to the particular brain exercises that's mentioned in this one study. And I went there, and they've got a free portion, and I tried it this morning, and it was really kind of cool. I started off pretty good, and then it's got faster. I got worse. It slowed down. I got better. It caught up with me. And it was really kind of neat the way it's set up and the way it's put together. I was matching butterflies. Like when you turn the cards over and trying to find the matches, it was kind of like that. But I felt smarter already. I want to say with this kind of thing, as you said, it seems to linger, at least according to the study. And they likened it to riding a bike. Once you know how to ride a bike, you sort of always know how to ride a bike. Even if you haven't ridden a bike for a while, it's kind of a track in your brain. And so they kind of said it was sort of like that.
Yeah, and that's important because it means it's laying down some permanent new kind of connections. It's very interesting that for a long time we thought that older people my age did not make new neurons, new nerve cells. That in other words, that you had a certain number of neurons, and all that was going to happen is you're going to progressively lose them. The question is at what rate? We've now found that's not necessarily the case, that you can generate new neurons. You can add to that part of the brain. And so I do think that we're really going to come up with a lot of good things in terms of brain exercise, the way that we think about physical exercise with cardio and some resistance training. I think we'll come up with more and more. Here are the things that will really benefit your brain, these kinds of games or puzzles or challenges. And so I think we're onto something.
All right. Dr. Pate, the Chicago Health Department reported a meningitis outbreak last month that has killed 2 people and infected at least 7. What do we know about the outbreak and about meningitis?
Yeah, so this is tragic, but foreseeable because recently you'll remember that our government changed our recommended vaccine schedule and eliminated the meningitis vaccine, which is really beyond my comprehension because this is a very potentially fatal disease. It's caused by a bacteria. It is transmitted through close contact, can be saliva or respiratory droplets. Where we often see this, Chicago hasn't provided us a lot of details about the setting, but we often see this when kids go off to college. And we will see this spread in dormitories at a college, things like that. So I don't know what the setting here is, but these people, either through work or school, I'm sure had some close contact. There are 7 cases since January 17th, and 2 of them have died already. What happens is that either this bacteria can get into your bloodstream or it can get into the linings around your brain.
Yeah.
And both are bad, and both can kill you. But we often see this it manifest, like I was talking about in college dorms and so forth, as meningitis. And once that's recognized, then we quickly respond to try to get everybody that has been contacted on antibiotics because this is so potentially lethal. But the best way, you'll be shocked to hear, is get a vaccine. And we have a vaccine for this. And what we do is we generally recommend this vaccine be given at after age 11, 12. But definitely, what I did with my kids is right before they were going off to college, I got them vaccinated. And then give them a booster dose at 16. So make sure that you get this vaccine. It's safe. And we really don't have problems with this. And not giving the vaccine is not based on science. It's based on the ideology of this current administration. And now people are paying the price. This is very tragic.
Okay, I want to switch to two stories about the vagus nerve. One about how it might help after a heart attack, and another as a possible treatment for autoimmune diseases. Think arthritis or something like Crohn's disease. What is this nerve, and what does it do?
So the vagus nerve, you have two of them, one on your left side, one on your right side. And if you were to feel around at the back of your neck and go up to where your skull is, about right there, just kind of put your finger and just head it towards your front. And that would be kind of the direction in your brainstem, something called the medulla of our brainstem, is where the nerves start. One on each side, comes down, comes out through the skull, comes down around through your neck where your carotid arteries are, and then comes down into your chest and down to the abdomen. And this nerve is very responsible for controlling things like heart rate, breathing, digestion. It has a lot of those effects. What has happened that is just really blows my mind, frankly, is that over the last 6 years, we have been learning that this nerve plays a role in your immune function and your immune response. And so, what happens is that, we've increasingly identified that inflammation is bad for your body. Inflammation sets off all kinds of various problems. And when there is inflammation, certain chemicals are detected by the vagus nerve. It sends a message back up to the brain. And then the brain, different parts of the brain signal by sending down a chemical message that interferes with the body's production of cytokines, which are causing the inflammation. So we can actually use the vagus nerve to try to get the body to get the brain to tell the body, simmer down, calm down. You're overreacting. You're getting hysterical. Stop that, and the body will decrease the inflammation. This is being tested in long COVID patients as a possible treatment. You just mentioned about heart attacks, and now this latest one is being tried for rheumatoid arthritis. And there's hope that maybe this will give us more options for other autoimmune conditions.
Wow. Okay, we've got about a minute left, and I do want to touch on that, vagus nerve stimulators. They've put some into people with rheumatoid arthritis, and they've actually seen some results.
That's right. So the vagus nerve stimulator can be implanted under the skin on your chest, can be connected to the vagus nerve on the left side of the neck, usually, and so that it can send those signals to decrease inflammation. And with rheumatoid arthritis, we have some very good ways to kind of measure that degree. We can look at swelling, redness, pain, and on x-rays, one of the things about rheumatoid arthritis is it typically is what we call an erosive disease. It eats away at the bone. So they haven't followed these people for long enough yet, but they've followed them long enough that they are seeing improvements in these measures. So I would say at this point, it's encouraging. I would not say that everybody with rheumatoid arthritis should run out and get a vagus nerve stimulator, but it looks encouraging. Maybe with some more time, some more studies, if we continue to show improvement, it may be something we can add to our choice of options to treat rather than just having to rely on drugs that a lot of times give side effects.
Dr. Pate, thank you as always for your wisdom and your time.
My pleasure.
We've been speaking with Dr. David Pate, former CEO of St. Luke's Health System and the co-author of the book, Preparing for the Next Global Outbreak. Bring your public health questions to us via email, idahomatters@boisestate.edu, and we'll answer them next week. And all of the studies that we have mentioned, we'll put them on our website, boisestate.publicradio.org, after the show.
And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Thanks so much for listening. And just a reminder, you can find all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, it's Terry Gross, host of Fresh Air. Hey, take a break from the 24-hour news cycle with us and listen to long-form interviews with your favorite authors, actors, filmmakers, comedians, and musicians, the people making the art that nourishes us and speaks to our times. So listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.